fits that. It's two drivers of the new economy in BC. It's agriculture, it's the wine industry, and it's technology and innovation sort of coming together. And it's that entrepreneurial spirit that's really going to help to grow the region and grow the province. For me personally, I find this topic fascinating. I'm in my legal practice, as Camille said, I work in corporate finance and M&A largely, focused on the innovation sector in technology, working with entrepreneurs, working with startups. But prior to law, I actually worked sort of in the marketing and sales side in the wine industry, sort of very early days in the early 2000s, what was innovation and marketing and sales there, helping to build early websites and doing some of those things and manage customer lists. So for me tonight, there's a lot of meaning in this, and it's very happy to be involved in it. So it's my pleasure this evening to introduce our first speaker, Dr. Tony Holler. Dr. Holler has headed 11 different companies and has a wealth of business experience. He's a UBC alum. Before his business career, Dr. Holler served as an emergency physician at the University Hospital at the University of British Columbia and holds a BSc and MD from UBC. He's currently the chairman of CRH Medical, CEO of Ceneva Cannabis, and most relevant for this evening, heads Poplar Grove Winery. Dr. Holler previously was co-founder of ID Biomedical Corporation and was CEO when the company was acquired by GlaxoSmithKline in December 2005 for $1.7 billion. He also more recently was chairman of Corriente Resources, which sold for approximately $700 million. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce our first speaker, Dr. Tony Holler.
Thank you. The one trait that he didn't mention, or I think it was Camille didn't mention about being in this industry, is there's a certain element of craziness you need to be successful. My background, actually, as you know, I'm a medical doctor. I went into the biotechnology industry after 11 years at UBC, and initially was in charge of the research at the company, and then eventually became the CEO. Obviously, there are a number of companies, but one thing that I've learned about every time I go to work for a company is it's incredibly hard, it's incredibly difficult, and I could never have predicted all the difficulties in advance. The wine industry is a bit like that, and if you look at the wine industry in British Columbia, we have significant challenges, and I probably, when I got involved, didn't understand all the challenges fully. And if you look at the challenges that we face from a regulatory standpoint, just selling our wine is a huge problem for us, because at a winery like Poplar Grove, we carry 4 different liquor licenses to do what we do. We can't ship our wines across provincial boundaries. It just goes on and on. Now, you know, if you go to the U.S., they can do all these things. The additional challenge we face is we have quite a limited amount of land in the Okanagan, and consequently what we've seen is the prices of land dramatically increase. When we started the winery, we bought the winery in 2007, we were acquiring land for about $60,000 an acre. Now, on the Naramata bench, it's closer to $200,000 to $250,000 an acre. And so, you know, the challenge, there's a different challenge at $250,000 an acre, in that obviously your wine prices have to go up, and it's a challenge that the whole Okanagan faces. We're not going to be selling $10 bottles of wine because there's no way of making money. And you'll see these signs along the road where they advertise wine for $7.50 a bottle and things like that. That's not sustainable in our industry. The whole Okanagan has to face the fact that we have to premiumize our wine industry completely. We have to be at the high end of the scale. Additional challenges we face are with labor. We have high labor costs, but we can't get local labor. So most of us are bringing labor in from Mexico, and obviously that's working. But eventually, if I look at my Mexican workers who have been with us for 9 years and become friends of the family, all their kids are going to school and all their kids are going to go to university because by working in Canada, they can afford to send their kids to private Catholic schools. And apparently in Mexico, the only way you get into university is if you go to private Catholic school. So that's kind of, as I think about the future, I think, well, where are we going to get our labor force eventually? And of course, coming from a technology background, I'm very interested in machine learning, all these things, because I think eventually we're going to have to automate these vineyards, and because we just will not have the people. We already find that Canadians don't want to work in this industry, and so that's why we have to import Mexicans. I can't remember, but I think right now in the valley there's 4,000 or 5,000 Mexican workers who really do all the work in the vineyards. Obviously they're supervised, etc. So you look at this industry, and there are many challenges, and obviously one of the challenges are capital as well. I was fortunate coming into this industry, having sold a company and having some dollars in my pocket that I could afford to get into this industry. But even when I did my estimates of what it would cost me to be in this industry, I was way off. I should have doubled my estimates at the beginning. One of the things that the industry faces in general is that there are a lot of marginal players in our industry. There's a lot of small players, and if we want a viable industry, I think there are a number of things that have to change. My focus, in many ways, is on the future of this industry. We're a family business. I've got 4 sons who work in our business, some in the vineyards, some in the winery. And for me, the most interesting thing is, what should this industry look like in 30 years? And what should I be doing now to make sure that by 2030, and what should I be doing now to make sure that Poplar Grove is a viable business at that time? So, a lot of the things that I've learned working with other companies, I've applied to this wine industry. Access to capital, access to expertise. We hire Alain Soutre, who you're going to hear from, as a consultant from Bordeaux, because I'm a big believer in stuff I don't know. I'm going to hire somebody who can help me with that. So these are all things that we're so used to in other industries, like using consultants, working together with industry partners, all these things. And we're just starting to see that in the wine industry now, where groups of wineries are working together. I'm part of a group called the Okanagan Wine Initiative, and it's 8 wineries that have got together and are working together in many different aspects, focused on things like export and getting the reputation of the Okanagan known internationally, as well as obviously working nationally as well. So I'm super excited about this industry, but as I mentioned, there are a lot of challenges to the industry.